Coming up on Mountain News this morning, we talk with one professional about how to help children navigate their lives as COVID-19 turns routines upside down. And as the state begins to reopen, Governor Beshear is starting to lift some restrictions, including some on hospital visitation. Plus, we hear from one Kentucky woman living with cancer, says one effect of this pandemic is actually making her life a bit easier.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Good morning, I'm Lacey Roberts. Thank you for joining us on Mountain News This Morning. Today is Tuesday, May 19th, or as we like to call it, Monday 2.0. And today is another severe weather alert day, so let's go ahead and bring in Brandon Robinson. You've been talking about those showers that we're going to see all day, and of course, we'll need that rain gear.
Yes, absolutely, Lacey. Don't leave home without it if you have to leave home today. And we're tracking the rain still on live pinpoint Doppler radar, and some of it getting a little bit heavier along the I-75 corridor right now, and then more up toward the I-64 Mountain Parkway corridors as well. So keep an eye on that this morning. Kentucky, just some steady, I guess, showers for the most part, to put it that way. Looking at temperatures, 50s and 60s, 55 Somerset to 64, and basically from Moorhead all the way this morning, and you see how much difference that was from this time yesterday. Anywhere from right where it was in Middlesboro to 14 degrees colder in Somerset. So a big difference in a lot of locations. Your forecast for today, not a lot of movement temperature-wise, only mid to upper. Conditions continue off and on throughout the day. Flash flood watch continues until 8 o'clock for most of the region. We'll have the rest of the forecast coming up here in just a little bit. Lacey.
Thank you, Brandon. And Governor Andy Beshear gave 2 days worth of updates last night. Sunday saw a total of 120 new cases and 3 deaths. Yesterday, the Commonwealth saw 138 new cases and 9 new deaths. Altogether, that brings the total to 7,935 cases and 346 deaths. 200 of those deaths are at long-term care facilities. And in Bell County, they announced its first case of COVID-19 its past weekend, and health officials announced the first case in Wolfe County last night. If you look at this map, only 4 counties remain without a confirmed case of COVID-19. 2 of those are in the WYMT coverage area. Those are Estill and Lee counties. Elliott County still has no cases as well, and Robertson County, which is right next to Harrison County, that's where the virus was first reported in the state of Kentucky. And as the coronavirus continues to spread, we are all facing new stresses, and that includes physical and psychological health risks. With schools and businesses such as child therapists operating differently, children are particularly vulnerable. I talk with a child therapist on how continuous communication can help you and your child. Some child experts say an increase in fear, anxiety, and behavioral problems come as children's routines have completely changed.
Now is a good opportunity for parents to kind of tap into therapy, mental health services, as they see these changes in their children.
Trauma therapist Hillary Baker.
So how have you been sleeping at night?
Says her main concern is children being home alone, no longer around mandated reporters.
Being around teachers, maybe they're not keeping consistent doctor's appointments or school personnel.
These people often make reports when they see children act differently or have concerns about their home life.
We don't always know what that home environment is like.
With telehealth communication restrictions lifted, children can now call, Skype, and even use Facebook Messenger to reach out for help.
I'm so proud of you for doing that.
In a mindset that we're prepared for what may be coming down the road, and we continue to stay present.
Shaping a secure way for mental health communication. Lacey Roberts, WYMT Mountain News. Now, Baker specializes in counseling children from 3 to 18 years of age, and she says just seeing her patients is nice again. And a Kentucky woman who is living with cancer says one effect of this pandemic is making her life a little bit easier. Misty Aubrey has been fighting stage 4 cancer since 2017. She says her schedule is exhausting with a doctor's appointment every 4 weeks, along with a CT scan every 3 months and a host of other appointments as well. The pandemic prompted her doctors to switch to telehealth.
There's no point in you getting up and getting ready and getting in the car all this time. How do you feel about telehealth? And I was like, does that mean in my pajamas with coffee? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, I'm in.
Aubrey says the telehealth appointments are less stressful. She says she still feels connected to her medical team, receiving the same care as she would in person. And as the state begins to reopen, Governor Beshear is starting to lift some restrictions. One of those being hospital visitation for weeks where no visitation was allowed. Now, with the okay from Governor Beshear, Baptist Health Corbin is allowing one visitor at a time. WYMT's Emily Bennett has more on the policy.
For weeks, these doors stood closed to all visitors.
It's been terrible.
One of these visitors being Marilyn Montavo. Her son has MS.
He's so sick. It's really hard. It's really hard.
Heartbroken to have not been by his side, but on Monday she saw him for the first time in 3 weeks.
They're very strict, and that's good, you know, because I want him to be safe. I want to be safe, and I want everybody else to be safe too.
Last week, Governor Beshear gave hospitals the go-ahead to start allowing visitation.
Because of the curve and the number of cases are declining in the state, as well as the PPE supply in our area has been ample.
Anthony Powers, president of Baptist Health Corbin, changed his policy to one visitor at a time.
And really just go from the front door straight to the room, stay there. And we've also asked for them to limit their visitation time.
Each visitor must sign in and be screened.
You are asked a series of questions and then get a temperature check, and everybody in the building is masked.
Even though visitation is still restricted, Powers hopes this new policy aids patients in their recovery.
We think it's really helps in the healing process to have loved ones to come and check on you and encourage that. And so we're excited to be able to offer that again.
Trusting the rooms will soon be filled with visitors once again. In Corbin, Emily Bennett, WYMT Mountain News.
Now, there are a couple of restrictions. Oncology patients are not allowed visitors as they are very high risk, and those visiting behavioral health patients will have to schedule an appointment beforehand to coming to the hospital. Visitation is 10 a.m. until 6 p.m. every day. And the Letcher County Courthouse has been closed to foot traffic since March 18th due to coronavirus concerns. But the good news is that the courthouse plans to reopen a select number of offices tomorrow. The County Judge Executive's Office, Sanitization and Billing Office, the County Court Clerk, and PVA Office will be the first offices to reopen. Judge Executive Terry Adams says they have plans in place to help keep community members and courthouse staff safe.
We have to be sure the staff is safe, provide masks, check the temperature of the staff, and provide social distancing in the hallways. We've got a table set up at the front doors. We got hand sanitizer and disinfectant wipes there, and we're going to clean the door handles and things coming into the courthouse on a regular basis.
Offices such as the Circuit Court Clerk, Circuit and District Judge's Office, and the Driver's License Office will not open tomorrow. Those will open on June 1st. A new regulation should make it easier for Kentuckians to have legal documents notarized. Secretary of State Michael Adams issued the new rules on Monday. Usually notaries have to be in person, but with social distancing guidelines, that's hard to do. Now notarization can be done with video conferencing, email, photo messaging, or other technology. The Secretary of State's office says that this regulation will be permanent and remain available going forward.
Coming up on 6:11 on this Tuesday morning, and we're still tracking that pesky rain there as we take a look at live pinpoint Doppler radar. Some heavier bands up near the I-64 Mountain Parkway corridors and riding along the I-75 corridor as well this morning. So again, just be careful out there. It's going to be raining off and on throughout the day. A soggy start to this Tuesday across our region. Temperatures in the 50s and 60s, 55 to 64. That's kind of the range this morning. So again, cooler than it was this time yesterday, thanks to that rain and thanks to that cold front trying to move through. I want to point something out for you real fast. We've talked about us being wedged in between a couple systems. Look right there at Moorhead. You see where that air is circulating around that number there, basically around Moorhead? That's where the low pressure system is sitting. So it's slowly moving over. It's riding along the cold front. So that's basically the location of the cold front right now, from Moorhead all the way down to Middlesboro there, where you see that air feeding into that low to the south. It's kind of a cool little thing to show you there. That's where the front and the low is. 66 today if we're lucky. Rain heavy at times. It's just going to be a soggy day overall. Lacey.
Thank you, Brandon. And thank you for joining us on Mountain News this morning. More news is on the way. Coming up, a major shakeup for the University of Kentucky's cheerleading program after all 4 of the team's coaches were fired after a 3-month investigation.